Marina. I'm Chef Marina, and I originally work with plant-based food. And I have actually, my food sensibilities are all rooted in Malabar, where I come from. And before that, thank you so much for coming here this evening and spending your time here. And I'm really so touched by this whole thing because Malabar is very close to my heart. That's where I actually, that's where I'm born, and half of my life went there. So, and also my food, the food that I do is mostly food based on the Malabar, in the Malabar region. So this talk actually means a lot to me, and for all of you who've come here, who've taken that time out to come here, thank you so much. So now let's just head to the talk. So the title is Food of the Malabar. So it's actually a very vast topic. I mean, when Delhi Food Talks told me about this topic, Food of the Malabar, I was really kind of wondering, where do I kind of, how do I fit it in that 40 minutes? But however, let's do our best with I'll try and do my best here. But what I would like to start off is actually talking about where is Malabar, and for that I would say that Malabar is in the northern part of Kerala. It's actually between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. So, and also, what are the districts that come in Malabar? So we have Palakkad, we have Malappuram, we have Kozhikode, Calicut, Kozhikode, then we have Wayanad, and then we have Kannur and Kasaragod. I'm from the Kannur district, and the town that I come from is called Talasheri. That's why my Insta handle, my FB handle is that Talasheri girl. And so now let's just delve into how did this name Malabar come? So this name Malabar has come after the arrival of the Europeans. So Mala in Malayalam means hill, Malabaram. So it means hill slopes. So that was how the Europeans actually translated it. And I think it was somewhere I read that it was Al-Biruni, this writer, who actually coined the word Malabar. So now let's come into a brief, and I don't want to make it too extensive and boring by talking about the history, but I know that there is a link between the food and the history. So I'm just very briefly going to talk about the history of Malabar. So Kerala actually held a very important place in the trading map of the ancient world. So the spices, it was very rich for its exotic spices, the peppercorns, and other spices, the cinnamon, the peppercorns and the cloves, and all of that were very sought after by the foreigners. So there was this place called Kodungalur. It's presently called Kodungalur, and there was this trade port called Muriri, which was set up, and there was a lot of penetration of the Chinese, the Europeans, the Arabs, and all of them came through into that port. And the Arabs were actually trading with India a long time ago. So it was actually the trade that attracted the foreigners into the country. So they traded the spices, and the Kerala rulers, the small principality Kerala rulers, actually encouraged this because it was a lot of revenue for Kerala. So there was this whole, the spices that actually attracted these foreigners. That was actually the trading point. There was a lot of selling and buying happening. And also what happened was, like the Arabs had come a long while ago, and the Arabs actually married into the local families. So that is where actually the marriage in the local families actually started this whole new establishment happening, and it is said that the Mappila community is actually an actual descendant from there. So that is a brief history, and if you remember, in 1498 it was Vasco da Gama who came to Calicut. There was a port near Calicut, near Kapad, and that is where he landed, and actually a sea route was set up from that port to Europe. So that was actually the whole trading that started. So you know that when the foreigners came, there were settlements happening in Kerala. There were marriages happening, and so there was a whole lot of interaction happening, which actually I think penetrated into the world of food also. So now I'm going into to delve into the food part of Malabar, which is, I'm telling you, I just love it. I just love the food of Malabar. It's exotic, it's wide in range. And actually, Malabar, in all of Kerala, Malabar, the Calicut, Kozhikode, Calicut is called Kozhikode, Kozhikode, Talasheri, Kannur is very famous for its rich food. So there is a whole lot of food which is made in the Malabar, which is which is very famous. I mean, I'm sure you all have heard of the Talasheri biryani, which is very famous. So today, I mean, I hope I do find the time, but I'm actually going to be demoing one recipe for you all, so that it can be a little value creating. So that's again a Malabar favorite called the Parambari. So here I just want to, when I enter the food of Malabar, I want to say, I just want to narrate a little story. You know, while I was growing up in Talasheri, I accompanied my grandparents for actually a Mapla, a Muslim wedding, and the weddings are really a grand affair, and you know they have this whole platter laid out with beautiful food, and you know the food of so actually sorry, but you know the food of Malabar is essentially the Mapila food, because it was actually the Mapilas who had, with the Arab influence, who had this exotic menu for Malabar, and we've actually, you know, the whole of Malabar actually is famous for that. So when I went for this wedding, and I still remember, I must have been about 7 or 8 years old. But why I'm narrating this story is just to start off this one dish which is very close to my heart. I just love that dish. And I went for this wedding, and there was this huge platter that was dining table that was laid out. Food was from one end to another, and there was this on the center was laid out this beautiful big platter which had this amazing sunshine yellow, vibrant yellow, golden kind of threads, you know, and on top of it were cakes of white. They were like white cakes, and I was very intrigued by the color, and there were cherries on it. I was very intrigued by that color, and later I got to know that it was the famous Muttamala. Now Muttamala is like epic. I think it's one of the best dishes in Malabar that I've seen. It's actually they take for a wedding, they must be taking about 100 yolks of eggs, and they whip it, and it's made with very fragile and delicate hands. The sugar syrup is actually cooked in cardamom and spices, and then when the sugar syrup is boiling, they have this very nice spoon, you know, it's called I think I do have that. Yeah, it's something like this, a ladle like this. So they put holes out here, and they put the egg yolks into it, and with a deft fingers and hands, they just keep circling it around that big pan of sugar syrup, and then you have these very fine yellow threads of egg strands that come out. It's cooked in that, and then it's laid out into a tray where you kind of open it out, and with the egg whites, this is just the egg yolk, and with the egg whites are whipped in sugar and spices, and it's steamed, and that's called Pinnanathappam. Yeah, so that particular thing is cut into cakes, and it's put around the golden yellow threads. So that's, I still think it's so cool, you know, and it's so surprising and so wonderful to see that this is actually Portuguese. It was just, I think, a couple of years ago, I was reading about this particular dish, and I got to know that this is also used in Portuguese. You know, it is one of the Portuguese favorites. It's called Fio de Ouros, and it's again you know, something made with the yolks of eggs. So you see the kind of influence that had on the arrival of the Europeans had on the food of the Malabar. So that's Muttamala for you. I'm sorry I can't show you the picture, but you can definitely check it online. It's called Muttamala, and if you guys are ever going to a Malabar, you must taste that. It's a delicacy. There's a lot of eggs in it, but it's actually a delicacy. So now I'm going to step into, I cannot talk about the whole range of food, but I would definitely talk about a few dishes from breakfast, from lunch, and of course I cannot miss the Malabar tea time snacks, which is my all-time favorite because you have umpteen number of dishes in the Malabar tea time snacks. So I'm just going to start with the breakfast. So you all know the puttu. So puttu is something which is made in a cylindrical, it's a rice flour which is made like a short crust pastry, like crumbs, and then it's actually layered in the cylindrical, this is a very old one, but you also get the steel ones, these ones. So you actually layer coconut and rice flour into it, and then you make the puttu. But in Malabar, what I found very interesting was they make the mean puttu. Mean is fish puttu. So what they do is they cook fish, they flake it, and they make a lovely masala out of it. And then instead of the coconuts, they do put coconut, but they layer mostly like almost like an inch of fish masala. So that the mean puttu is very famous. Then they have the similar one called the irachi puttu. Irachi puttu is chicken, meat, mutton, or so they layer it with meat. So that's a very famous dish in Malabar. We have the Vallayappam. Vallayappam is like in the south of Kerala they call it Palappam, but in the Malabar we call it Vallayappam. Vallayappam are those the appams that we normally make. So the appams and stew, the appams and chicken stew is very famous. Appam and mutton stew is very famous in the Malabar. Apart from this, we have pattiris. Pattiris are like rice rotis. So pattiris are made with egg roast, with chicken roast. So that's also had for breakfast. Then you have something called the mutta sirka. I mean, I know this name sounds a little bit Greek and Latin, but I do want to mention the name. There's something I'm not going to actually go very deep into it, but mutta sirka is like a puri. So it's made with rice flour with eggs in it, and it's fried like a deep puri. But what's very interesting is, what I found very interesting in all of this is people in Malabar loved eating. Like, let it be breakfast, let it be lunch, let it be evening tea. So that's something that I love because the evening 4 p.m. tea is called palaharam. So you go to any home there, you will get a nice cup of tea, chaya, and you will get some palaharam. Palaharam could be something that's made at home. It could be, it could just be like a parampuri, it could be like an unakai, it could be anything. Or it could just be something bought out of the bakery. But 4 p.m. tea is very, everybody indulges in that. So that is about the morning breakfast. Then of course you do have a lot of pattiris. You have different kinds of pattiris. You have irachi pattiri. So these are like rice flour which is actually soaked, and it's made into a thick batter with shallots and fennel seeds, saunf, and salt, and then it's made into a roti, into small discs. Then you put your stuffing into it, then you put another layer of the disc in it. And the most beautiful thing is, which is what I learned the last time when I went to one of the very authentic homes, the traditional homes, they have this very, very beautiful way of actually finishing that whole thing, like how in Maharashtra they make the karanji, they might use a fork, but in Kerala they have got very deft fingers where they finally finish that little disc with a very beautiful pattern, and it's done so beautifully. I've been trying to learn that. Yeah, so that is one item. And then we have there is then the Talasheri biryani. Talasheri biryani is very popular. It's popular because again Talasheri biryani has a lot of Arab influence there. The biryani it's very famous, and you will see in a lot of the restaurant menus, you will see in the biryani Talasheri biryani. Now what is it that Talasheri biryani is? What is the speciality of the Talasheri biryani? Of course, the masalas. The masalas are very subtle. It's it's made in chicken and mutton. But what is actually very striking about the Talasheri biryani is the shocked grain rice that is used. So the rice that is used is called the Jeeragashala, the Kaima rice, which is cultivated in Wayanad. So it is that particular rice that gives the Talsheri biryani the richness, you know. So it's really beautiful. I have the rice, but I'm sorry, I just couldn't bring it out. So Talsheri biryani is of course a very famous item. Apart from that, you have the chicken, you know, the chicken curry, the chicken varataricha curry. I do a lot of that. It's like you know, coconut. I remember when I was growing up at home, it was like such a beautiful you know, it was such a beautiful affair when, you know, the coconut used to be roasted on wood fire on a very slow flame, and nothing would go into the blender. It was just the silbatta. So it was actually made into a fine smooth paste, and the chicken curry, the mutton curry, the vegetable curry tasted so wonderful and gorgeous just because of the texture of the coconut. Then there is the fish curry, which is very famous. So Malabar has a whole array of rich varieties of dishes that it's famous for. Now I'm just going to step into some of the items that is very common in the evening snacks. Now what I felt in the Malabar was that yeah, the plantain. This is a plantain, and the plantain is actually, there are a lot of dishes that's used in the the plantain is used. So you have the unnakaya. Now unnakaya is very interesting, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the dishes that's made with plantain, and we are going to be doing one here, just called the parampuri. So I'm actually going to be demonstrating one dish, yeah. So the unnakaya is actually, it's very interesting. Unnakaya is, you know, I was reading this somewhere and I found it very interesting. It's in a spindle shape. I mean, I have actually made it, and if you are following me on Instagram, you can actually check for the pictures there. So it's in a spindle shape, and it's called it's like a it's like a cotton, it's called the cotton bud, you know. It's like a cotton bud, so it's actually you know, translated as a cotton bud. And it's very interesting because the banana used for unnakaya is like not like a very ripe one. It's made into a fine paste and then made into like a, you know, you make it flat like puris, and then it's filled with egg and coconut and raisins and cashews, and it's, you know, it's then covered into a very beautiful, you know, and I personally think all this is, you know, crafted so beautifully. Everything has a shape, everything has a texture, and that's for me so beautiful about the dishes of Malabar, because there's so much creativity to it. If you see a pattiri, or if you see a nei pattal, it has this very fine filigree kind of work done, but with fingers. And even if you see the unnakaya, the texture of the banana, and the way it is shaped, so there are different ways that you shape it. I know that, you know, back home in Kerala, my grandmother used to have a banana leaf that was laid out, and she used to make this shape, and then she would, you know, kind of rock it in that particular plantain leaf, so that it's kind of evenly and softly and smoothly coated, and then it used to be fried. Yeah, so that is the unnakai in the plantain variety. Then you have the param narachadu, which means that stuffed bananas, which is the bananas are stuffed with again coconut and you know, dry fruits, and then it is deep fried. So that's one thing. And banana plantain is a huge part in Kerala. In Malabar, I've seen even breakfast we have plantain, we have steamed plantain. In evening snacks has plantain. All the small tiny little cute tea shops have plantain based snacks available. So plantain, this is the plantain. I don't know. Yeah, so this is the Kerala banana, the Nendraparam. So this is very famous, and we make a whole lot of snacks with it. Now apart from that, I would actually like to mention this one snack called arikadika. Arikadika is made with mussel, with fresh mussels. So it's actually, you know, mussel is actually a seafood, and you know, when you get the mussel, they are in those green shells, and the shells are cleaned with properly with a brush, and then it's boiled, and after it is boiled, you know, it's completely cleaned, and it is inside that shell. The shell opens out like how you see a clam. These are like oval shaped long shells. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Unfortunately, I can't show you the picture of that right now, but you can definitely check it. Those are fresh mussels, and then it's, you know, when you boil it, they open out, the shells open out, and in that there is a stuffing that's put, which is again made with rice, and rice is actually made into a batter with shallots and fennel seeds, and you know, it's filled into the mussels, and then it is actually what is done is, you know, it's steamed, and then it's taken out and it's fried. It's a delicacy, and I know a lot of people, I know my family who live in Kochi and Trivandrum, they really crave for this arikadika from Thalassery, Kannur, Kozhikode, because this is actually a speciality there. Pathiri is a speciality there. So these are some of the dishes which have been there, and it still continues to be there. Of course, now what has happened is, you know, a lot of people don't make so much at home because of the rigorous work that goes into it, and lot of bakeries have started selling these things. Nevertheless, there are homes that still cater to this whole thing of cooking it from the scratch, and I love making it in my home. I love doing everything from the scratch. And the beauty of these dishes is that though at some point I do feel that it is getting extinct, I really feel that you know, these are things that we have to kind of, you know, continue making. We have to continue honoring these dishes, because these are things that that are really so rare. So when I, as a chef, when I try these recipes constantly, I'm constantly feeling so joyous, because these are recipes which have been there forever, and you know, it's actually wonderful to even keep trying these and having to serve it to people. Apart from that, we have some other snacks, evening snacks. You know, some of them are called. You know, tapioca. Tapioca is very famous there, very famous. So we make a certain delicacy for dinner if with tapioca, but there is let me talk about the evening snack with tapioca. It's called the kori kale, means it's called the chicken kale's leg. So it's like a chicken drumstick, but you know, the tapioca is cut into thinner longish layers, and it's coated with a batter, and it's fried. And when you actually serve it on the table, you would feel like, you know, you were served chicken, because it's got this fine masalas going into it. But what I'm really trying to say, mentioning about all these snacks and all these richness, is that, you know, look at the you know, the amount of delicacies that is there in the Malabar. And it's still, I mean, it's still, if you go to some of the homes in Kerala, when I go back to Thalassery, I mean, it's really wonderful for me to visit homes where they actually make these authentic things, you know. And you know, much of it is made at my home, but not as much as what it used to be made during my grandmother's time. During my grandmother's time, I know that every 4 p.m. We had a delicacy coming, and that is where, now that I'm into this journey, I keep living on with these memories of foods that have been served to me, and I try to make them. You know, for instance, there is this dish called kinnathapam. There is one dish called kaltapam. These are so wonderful. These are very most of these dishes are very rice centric, and these are made in rice. But you know, the technique of cooking, like as a chef, when I see the technique of cooking, when I take these recipes and when I read through these recipes and when I see the technique, it just appalls me, because you know, these are techniques that have been there at that time, and today we talk so much about the food techniques in a very big way, in a technical manner, but these are techniques which have been preserved there forever. You know, like when I was doing this recipe, the kaltapam, that is something where you are making the rice batter to a certain consistency, then you're pouring jaggery into it, and it's cooked on slow fire. But the urli, in what you're making, it's called the urli. The pan is called urli, the brass pan. When you pour it into it, it is on medium heat. But when you actually cook it, the initial 10 minutes is on high flame, and then you reduce it to 15 minutes, it forms into a lovely cake. It's like a nice cake, you know. And then you demold it and you cut it. You have this honeycomb kind of structure that forms into that kaltapam. And it's the food of the Malabar amazes me each time. Each time I cook it, each time I serve it, each time I have this food, it's actually a new journey. Each time I make something, it is a new journey for me. Like kaltapam, I have made many times. Each time my recipe is getting finer, my techniques are getting finer, and every time that I make it, I just respect the people who have actually brought these recipes into the fray of into the culinary world of Malabar. And so I think so that is that. And then kinnathapam is another dish which is made completely with coconut milk, and it's like stirring for 4 to 5 hours in big pans. I remember my grandmother used to make it on huge udulis, and the food used to be slowly cooked, and the coconut milk used to start thickening with the rice batter, and then there is a certain proportion that it had to maintain for it to kind of get that thickness, and then it is cooled, and then it is cut into cake forms. So that is that. And now what I'm going to be doing is I'm quickly going to jump into explaining this recipe, the parampuri. I have actually made it with the plantain, and so basically what I am going to be doing, I have here the banana. Let's move this away. Yeah, so now I have the plantain here, and what I have done is I have cut because of the because of the pressure of time, I could not show you how to cut it. But basically, when you have a plantain and you peel it, you cut this into half, and then you are cutting each half into shapes like this. Yeah, and then we have the batter here. The batter is made with rice flour. So this is the batter. Now if you see, the batter is like a thickish batter, thicker than your dosa batter. Yeah. So now this has maida. So since I have just very little, and I'm going to be demoing just about a couple of them, I haven't made a whole quantity, but this has got, here I have got 1/4 cup, but I can of course put the recipe on if you guys require it. I'm most happy to provide the recipe. This has got maida, it's got about a spoon of rice flour, it's got turmeric in it, I put some cardamom, I put some sugar, and then just mixed it with water. Yeah, and I have the oil there which is getting hot. So now we are actually going to be taking one banana, coating it in the batter. Yeah, so this is going to be coated in the batter. The batter is flavorful because the cardamom powder has gone into it, there is sugar in it, there is some rice flour in it, there is some maida, the rice flour to get the crunchiness. So that is your batter, and I have my oil getting hot, and this, yeah, and that is my, so I would ideally like to never put the fire very high, because I like working with medium and medium fire, so that it's not burnt quickly, it's cooked well, and it's not like, you know, unevenly colored. So I'm just going to leave that for a while there whilst it is cooking. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a very rich part of the evening snacks in Kerala. It's called the parampuri. And if anybody has gone to Malabar, I'm sure you would have seen it in little tea shops, bakeries, even the train journeys, I mean, the train journeys are such a huge part of learning, because when I was growing up, I used to have these train journeys from Talasheri to Kozhikode, and we used to just wait for these vendors to come with the parampuri, because we always thought, that tasted much better. So, so those are very beautiful memories as far as these snacks are concerned. Evening snacks, or patri used to be something which would be served anytime. Like, even if you go evening, sometimes people would still serve patri and chicken curry, patri and mutton curry. So that used to be a very important part. Another biryani that is very famous in Talasheri or Kannur or Calicut or Kozhikode or any of those places is fish biryani, because fish biryani is something that I learned from my family, because that is the most authentic Talasheri fish biryani. And so the fish is actually cooked, and again the Jeeragashala rice is used. So the Jeeragashala rice, the kaima rice as it's called, goes into most of the dishes, like even your ghee rice, your nechor. Nechor is a huge part of the in the Mapla community. Nechor and chicken curry, archi curry is very famous. Like, it's a huge part of the lunch and dinner, or even the delicacies. I still remember this lovely one story. During Ramadan, during the Ramadan, the iftar used to be like, we had like very wonderful neighbors around us, and we used to wait for Ramadan and the iftar time, because we used to get trays of delicacies coming, biryani, unnakai, and we used to have pattiris and chicken curry, muttamala and stuff like that. So it used to be a joke, because we used to feel like, the food, it is so much more better than the food cooked at home. So we would eagerly wait, and there used to be lovely aromas coming from nearby homes right from 2:33 in the afternoon, because the time that they open their they start the iftar is in the evening. So we used to get all these delicacies coming. So that used to be like one of the great things that I remember. I still remember, like even if I go during Ramadan, of course there is not as much festivity as it is like when I was growing up. I would like it to be a little more brown. See, it's kind of getting an even color. So we are almost done with this, and I'm just going to take this out of the pan. Another item with the bananas we would make is just a fry in ghee. That used to be another great part. So what I actually think about the food of the Malabar is there is a lot of variety, there is a lot of dishes with the rice, but what really appeals to me about the food of Malabar is the creativity to it. It's so creative. If you actually eat a patri, it is so, it's actually made paper thin. It's rice flour, but the way it is, the kneading happens, the way it is rolled out, and the way it's made, and it's so soft because coconut milk is poured on top of it, and it's just so, I think it's an art. Malabar food for me is an art. It's a lot of creativity. This is the parampuri. Now, if you see, unfortunately the bananas during the lockdown is not that great, but see, this is how it is. So this is a dish which is very popular in Kerala, yeah, in the Malabar. Okay, there is someone has asked, what is the main difference between the Malabar biryani from other biryanis? Yeah, the main difference in the Malabar biryani, as I told you, is the rice that is being used. It's the Jeeragashala rice, the kaima rice, which is cultivated in Wayanad, and it's a short grain rice. It's very fragrant, not like, I wouldn't say it's fragrant like the basmati, but there's something so beautiful and unique about the rice, you know. So when you actually make, you know, the other day I just made Jeeragashala rice, plain rice, just to eat it with a curry, and it tasted so wonderful because the rice is short grain, it's fragrant, and it's not you know, it doesn't stick in your throat. It's just so beautifully, you know, it's got a very unique texture to it. And the way we cook it is, we soak it in the water for a while, and then it is actually cooked. You know, you use a lot of water. You can either use the technique of boiling a lot of water and putting the rice and cooking it 3/4 and taking it out, or you taking one cup of rice and say 1.5 to 1 3/4 of water and cooking it, you know. So either way, your rice turns out very well. And the best thing is, the rice looks very short grain, but what is the beauty about the Jeeragashala rice is that when you cook it, it turns out really longish. It doesn't look too long, but it looks, you know, like it's separate and grainy. So it just adds a lot of richness to the other components in your biryani. Say you're putting the birishta in it, you're putting your chicken in it, you're putting your mutton in it, the masalas in combination, and the aroma of that rice is something very different. Snacks are concerned, most of it I have covered. I would really, I would really think that you guys should read a little bit about Muttamala, the egg garland it's called. It's really like a garland. It's a piece of art in itself. It's just that whole technique of cooking the Muttamala, where you're whipping the egg yolks into it and putting it into the sugar syrup which is boiling. So there is a technique in it. It's not that the water is boiling and you're just putting the egg yolk in it. There is a certain gradation, and the way that you are putting in the the egg yolk into it, you know. So one of these days, I think I'm going to be putting it up on my Instagram, the technique of making the Muttamala. But for me, I just love that because there is a lot of richness to it, and it's always made during the Ramadan or during a wedding, during the Mapla weddings. I see a lot of Muttamalas made. But of course, you know, like I know there are a lot of families who are taking this as private orders nowadays. And because the last time I went, we did order for that, and it was really lovely. And the beauty of the Muttamala is when they actually make the egg yolk, they use the egg white in it to make something else, like a steamed pudding. You know, it's like a little pudding that you make, and you cut it, and you put those decorated on top of the egg garland. So that is the Muttamala. And oh yeah, there is something else that I would want to talk about. So as I told you, the plantains are a very, very important you know, part in Kerala. So the Nendra Param, we call it Nendram banana. So what there is this, I remember, you know, my grandmother used to do it. It's a very old technique. We used to slice something like this shape. We used to slice it in long pieces, and during the months, during the summer months, the bananas used to be put in hot sun. It's called Odavaraka, and it used to be put in the hot sun, and to actually you know, it used to get the heat of the sun, and it used to dry out. And after that, what is done is there is a sugar syrup made, and you know, flavored with some sugar and pepper, you know, the Malabar pepper, the pepper powder, and this is soaked into it, and this is actually kept, and then this is served anytime, because you know, this particular dish, the plantains, when it's dried in the sun, it just stays for a long time, and it's dipped into sugar syrup which is flavored with pepper and cardamom. So that is, of course, another delicacy that I can think about. But you know, apart from that, there is a whole lot of stuff that is you know, typical of Malabar, the plantains, the plantain delicacies, the unnakaya. I mean, if you ever get a chance to go to Malabar, please try the unnakaya. The Malabar parota, I mean, you know, that is very famous with the chicken curry. So you know, like lot of these restaurants in Talasheri, Kannur, they serve these Malabar parotas with chicken curry and mutton curry and stuff. It's a very meat-centric diet actually. I must say it's a very meat and egg-centric diet, yeah. And lot of rice used in it. But what actually captures my interest, and which continues to capture my interest as a chef, where I am completely bowled over by the sensibility of the food in Malabar, is the creativity to the food, as the wide array of delicacies that we have there and what you can create out of it. And I do not like mixing too much of the traditional into the modern, so I like to stick to the traditional recipes because they are dying, and I like to kind of keep working on these recipes constantly. Yeah, so that is that. And I think we've covered more, and in case you do have any more questions, you do want any more recipes on the plantains, on the unakaya or anything, you can just come onto my Instagram. I'm not so active on Facebook, but my Instagram account, that Talasheri girl, is very active. You could communicate with me there, and I'm more than happy to give you the recipes. You can try it and let me know how it works. So thank you very much. I think we have covered most of it, and maybe not covered the whole gamut of it, but yeah, I mean, please, there are some wonderful recipe books also there, and I think one recipe book which I am very more sometimes I do refer to is Mrs. Umi Abdullah's book. It's really lovely. And other than that, I have been banking a lot on recipes that is there in my family, on the recipe, all the recipes there, where I go back to Kerala, where I learned a lot from traditional homes, the Muslim homes. So that has been the biggest learning for me. So thank you so much for spending your time and taking your time out, and wanting to learn a little more about Malabar food. And really appreciate that. Thank you, Delhi Food Walks, for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate.